comments that are most beneficial to authors during the drafting phase. So peer review is sometimes confused by students. They take it as proofreading for grammar and spelling errors. Writers mostly benefit from comments that encourage revision or evaluating a first or second draft. This phrase literally means CCIE. So after a peer gives you their draft or completed work for you to review, you have to first of all read the whole draft. And then from there you now have to reread the text so that you can get an overarching view of their writing. The final step is to write a peer review, which is a detailed assessment. As a peer reviewer, you can assist writers in seeing their own writing in a new light and exploring new avenues for expanding their ideas. So what kind of remarks should you make with this kind of purpose in mind? There are two things to remember. First and foremost, you must prioritize. You won't have enough time to write a response to everything you see, and even if you did, the volume of responses might be overwhelming for the writer. Instead, concentrate on the most critical issues. When responding to a peer's copy, writing scholars distinguish between higher order and lower order concerns. Lower order concerns pertain to the mechanics of writing, such as syntax, spelling, punctuation, and formatting at the sentence level. On the other hand, higher order concerns refer to the writer's ideas, arguments, evidence, as well as the general structure, coherence, audience, tone, and source utilization. Here are some instances of questions that you should ask yourself when dealing with higher order concerns. Does the paper have a central thesis? Can you, if asked, offer a one-sentence explanation or summary of what the paper is about? Are there places in the paper where more details or examples of specifics are needed? Does the paper progress in an organized, logical way? When it comes to lower order concern, you should also ask yourself questions such as, did the author use clear language? Does the author use parallelism, the use of similar structures for similar ideas to make their document consistent? You must also check for possible spelling and grammatical errors. So we're now about to look into examples of higher order concern comments. So you claim that electrical cars are easier to drive, but you don't really explain why. It would be helpful to include some reasons. This kind of comment is forcing the writer to revisit their work and to revise it, so that the writer will be able to give more appealing reasons on why people maybe should feel that electric cars are much more easier to drive. Another comment is, since you are willing this for an audience for general readers, it might be helpful to define some of these lesser known terms like off-peak charging and range iterating. This type of comment also is going to tell the author to re-revise his grammar, maybe so that it might suit his audience. So you do a great job of explaining why climate change is an important issue, then introducing electrical cars and how they fit in the topic. This is not a criticism, but then it's commending the author for what he has done, so that the author may know where he has gone, okay, and where maybe he may have gone wrong. So as we were saying, higher order concern mostly they deal with the global. So what this means is that a higher order concern can damage the text as a whole, whereas lower order concern are mostly concerned with local issues that only affect a tiny area of the text. Generally mostly a single sentence. It's critical to focus on this higher order concern in order to help writers see their own writing in a new light. Writing specific comments rather than general comments is also another strategy to guarantee you deliver useful criticism. General comments are statements that are general and often ambiguous and do not pertain particularly to the text. Good paragraph. This portion looks out of place, or I don't understand. Those are some examples of general comments. General remarks usually leave the writer's stamp as to how to approach the problem or what to do next. Specific comments, on the other hand, provide more thorough, explicit criticism that explains what you are recommending or underlining and refers directly to the language in question. So it's worth noting that whereas a remark like excellent paragraph can be used practically in writing, the comments modeled here are specifics to an article about electric automobiles. These responses will take a bit longer to write, but extra time will be well worth it. They enable you as a reader to participate more fully in the writer's thoughts, while also ensuring that the writers understand your point of view. Comments and queries. As this video has demonstrated, there are various characteristics that contribute to appropriate feedback. Focusing on higher order concern and making specific remarks allows peers to see their own writing in a new light, encourages them, and shows them how to revise effectively. Thank you.